amazing content creator, but lately, I gotta be honest, I am kind of worried for his like overall well-being. When I am making my own content, I have never forced or imposed anything on people saying that, oh, they have to accept my ideas or anything. So I want you all to take this the wrong way. But I feel like he's being constantly taken advantage of or exploited, being used as a pawn by them trying to counter people who disagree with STC and stuff like that. Because personally for me it's like it's good that people really want to learn more about like bus routes and the way they are being planned, but honestly the people you mix with, it's really important. And I'm not trying to get y'all to like, oh, agree with me or anything, but I feel like constantly sticking with those people, it'll make it really detrimental to his own learning per se. I have tried like private messaging the guy. I didn't really get a response. He still talks on my live stream. He still just normally chats, but I feel like deep down, like something is going on behind the scenes. It's like the fact that he's still struggling to break away from the very clique that is ruining him when it comes to like his own understanding of bus routes. So I'm making this in hopes that like at least this would be able to somewhat get his attention per se. I do understand that it might not be the most, I mean, the best way to bring this issue out or talk about this issue, but I kind of am left with no choice, honestly. Okay, what I was going to say is that personally, I don't really treat this whole, route planning thing very seriously because all I am doing is I'm natural about it, and if I have something nice to share or some insight to share that people might not know, I just share it. It just comes very naturally. No, people like him are actually really eager to learn, and that is a good thing. But it becomes bad when their eagerness to learn is being outright exploited by people trying to screw over Singapore's bus network in general. Like, you're not teaching him the correct things. You're not teaching him to think from operators or a commuter's perspective. They are only trying to teach him what they feel is right or how they want to rearrange the bus routes in Singapore. It's one thing to not agree with them every single time. I respect that, but it's another thing to constantly let them influence you, let them dictate you, and stuff like that. It's like eager to learn, gets exploited by people teaching the wrong thing. When people outside criticize them, he gets mad, and STC basically capitalizes on the fact that he gets mad and gets him to waste time to crayon stuff just to, rage bait the people that are against STC. I don't know how else to say this, but it's quite clear that he's being used by them and he doesn't realize it. Yes, he could say that, oh, he doesn't necessarily agree with all of their ideas, but you can just see that, like, very subtly, he's being used by them to go against people actually trying to teach people logic. See, the thing is, last time he has actually publicly revealed his age before, but I will just say he's still in secondary school, And honestly, STC takes advantage of young people, young adults, or even those in secondary school. And when you actually let yourself be used by them, sometimes you may not even realize it, that they're actually damaging you. Being interested in buses, being interested in bus routes is a really, really wonderful thing. And but at the same time, I really wish that like being exposed to this kind of like extremist being exposed to extreme, really extreme bus route planning ideas by extreme people, and trying to let yourself be dictated by the fact that if you do not know how to plan routes well, it's kind of like you will feel really upset by it, that kind of thing. Again, it's supposed to be a fun hobby. If you're considering it for a career, okay, that's another thing, but at the same time, I want people to enjoy bus planning. I don't want people to destroy themselves because like over this whole learning process when it comes to like bus route planning. That's just not my intention. But the more he gets exposed by people, the more he gets upset with himself when the things that people are saying to him, it's not meeting his own expectations, given the fact that he is exposed to both sides, like the rational side and the extremist side. I'm not saying, oh, I'm rational or anything, but I'm just saying, based on what other people have been saying, how you should route a certain route or stuff like that. STC capitalizes on the fact that this guy gets upset when, uh, quote unquote, his routes aren't to par. And they take advantage of this to instill basically like the proper way to bus plan, even though it's extremist. They take this opportunity to constantly instill things in him. Whether he actually accepts it or not is one thing, but the constant exposure to this kind of gaslighting makes me really, really worried for his overall well being. So I've said my piece. I hope he's able to understand where I'm coming from. I don't come from this point of view that, like, oh, I want to go out there and ruin and destroy people or anything. I just want people to not be influenced by this kind of destructive behavior online. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you for listening to me. Okay, so the main content is that if I actually try to think of it from this perspective, how many routes can I actually classify using these? Like, obviously, there is bound to be some routes that have this kind of like hybrid character, like maybe 28. And then there are trunk routes that are pretty much feeders in the sense. I think the most prominent example would be something like the old 114 before being extended to Yochukang. Now that it's been extended to Yochukang, it kind of fits in this category, I would say. So using this as a guideline, let me actually try to classify them. Keeping in mind that this thing is more of like a residential thing. If it's like an industrial thing, I would actually put it here. Because they are clearly not inner towns per se. Again, because based on definition, this thing has a fair cap, and these do not have fare caps. This is just trying to say some of them do have like feeder-like characteristics, and some of them do have like trunk-like characteristics. That's all. It's not the most accurate Venn diagram, but yeah. So this one I'm just going to say again, trying to think from this point of view. This is basically a short or medium, but how medium is medium, honestly? Distance, trunk route by classification, kind of like a subset of trunk, honestly. Distance trunk route that connects more than one town or one planning zone per se. So obviously I will be leaving feeders out. I'm just going to focus on those that officially are designated as trunks. I cannot remember if 902 is designated as a trunk or feeder, but you know that that thing pretty much acts like a feeder. So I'm not gonna touch on 902. I honestly forgot what classification 902 is, so yeah. It doesn't even make sense for a 902 to have a classification because it's only one stop. And it's within 3.2 kilometers per hour within 3.2 kilometer as well of distance. Okay, so this one's a trunk. This one links neighborhoods. Pongo Pasir is Tampines. I don't really know how to classify service for, but if you want to say Flora Estate is, I mean, it's technically residential, right? So maybe I should put it here. 5 is obviously a trunk. This one, it's an industrial trunk, obviously. I know it's short distance, but it doesn't really have the connect neighborhoods row, so I'm putting it as a trunk. Whereas pretty much everything else is like a trunk. Like Tampines to Toa Payoh, it passes through like way too many towns for me to be able to consider it as like an inner town. All the Changi Airport cargo complex services, I'll put it as a trunk. Basically, there is this. You could technically put 11 under here because of its role as like linking East-West Line, Circle Line, Thompson East Coast Line, and then the 2 towns served would be like Kallang and Tanjong Rhu, like that general area. I wouldn't count stadium because it's not residential, so yeah. Trunks, all of these. Okay. 15, right? 15 is actually quite long distance. I will put it under trunk. 16. 17? Okay, 17 is quite a neighborhood bus service. I would put it under here. Same for 18. If 17 is under here, means 18 would be under here as well. 19, trunk. 20, okay, Tampines and Simei and Changi Business Park, right? Because of how windy it is, I'm gonna put it under here. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 28 is still predominantly a trunk, even though it does wind inside street 45, 32, 33, 45, 34, 32 for good reason. 29 actually does have the kind of windy character that 20 has, not as extreme. 30, again, I'm doing this completely unscripted. I'm not pausing the video. I'm just showing you how long I take to think. 31, 32, 33. 27 is here, so 34 would be here. I know 34 is like Pongo Tampines, right? But if something goes to the airport, right, I wouldn't even call it an inner town in the first place. Even though 34 does have that, like, oh, serving the neighborhoods role. 35, 36, 37, 38, I'll put it under here because it's a integration of feeders. 39, 39 is clearly a trunk distance wise. 40, I would say it's a normal trunk. 41, it's like a little bit industrial, a little bit residential. It's like residential, industrial, residential. Uh, you know what? If 66 is an inner town, by definition, okay, I'll put this here. Just barely squeezing it in. 42, because it's quite short. I don't even know why 42 is not classified a feeder, but I think it's because of history. Like, M1, M2, M3, M4, they were not classified as feeders, so that's why. But technically they should... Technically 42 should be a feeder, honestly. Like, in its own right. Not even inner town, like, 42 should be a feeder. In fact, I would even say it's this, you know. 43, 34E, 45. If 17 is here, I feel like it's only fair that 46 is here. Because 46 is like purely residential. 47, oh my god, I don't even... 47, it's kind of a like... It's a school commute route, but it's also a commute to the workplace route. I'll put this under trunk. 48, okay, 49 here because 49 kind of, it's like a fake feeder service, so okay. 50, 51, 52, pretty much all the 50 somethings are under trunk. Alright, let's just expand the list. I'm gonna keep doing this. Inner town. Alright. 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. Okay, it's fair enough, right? Okay, 70. If I put 17 as inner towns, okay, 71 should be inner town as well. Trunk, okay, 73, 74, 75 is clearly a trunk. It's way too long to be considered this. 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81. Honestly, no, I disagree with 82 being inside here. 82 is like way too long to be considered this. 83, I would actually put in here. 84 as well. I mean, even though 84 technically is supposed to be a feeder and not really... Okay, you see over here, right? 84. This includes green and white plate. I'm just not showing it. Trunk, if 39 is a trunk, it's only fair that 85 is a trunk as well. 86 as well, just to make it fair. Because 86 has Yio Chu Kang Road, and this thing has a SLETP. You cannot just say this thing is inner town. The reason why I put 3 as inner town is because this thing was a merger of feeders. So again, I am prone to inconsistencies as well, but realistically, how do you even determine that? 87, 88, 89. Then there is this thing called Service 90. It's gonna call PLAB in the future. So, do you want to put this do you want to put both of them here? Like, basically, these. Uh, okay, I'm not gonna count 91 because 91, it just... The reason why I put 91 here is because there is no residential within Ayaraja Crescent. It's pretty much just like JIS, but just a lot shorter in that sense. This one actually does have some residential, Normanton as well as like Mount Sinai, so it kind of fits the definition. Again, like when I think of 85, I think of it as a trunk. When I think of 86, I think of it as a trunk. Just simple. I know 85 has residential, but then again, it's like, it's so hard to like see 85 as an inner town service just because the distance wise is too long. I might be a hypocrite as well, but you know, whatever. Uh, Technically there are dormitories, right? I know NTU has them, but if it's a place people actually stay at, okay. But then again, if I put 95 here, doesn't it mean that like every single worker's dormitory would be considered inner town as well? But the thing is that like, you know, for workers dormitory, right, it's usually just like one small area and not necessarily like, oh, an entire HDB town, something like that. Not like the NTU dorms in terms of like scale. Nowadays when I see the workers dormitories, they are like HDB blocks as well, but they are clustered in like one small area as compared to like, oh, an entire town full of like workers dormitories. So I'm only putting this here because it's like 179 and 199 deserve to be inside here, right? So for consistency, yeah. Yeah, you might as well just throw this thing in here, right? Because it's like more than one planning area technically. Oh my god, this is like... People would say this thing. Again, okay, if I wanted to be strict about it, okay, this one, inner town, this thing, trunk. You can just say this thing has inner town character, but that's pretty much it. Okay then, because this thing really acts like a feeder service, so I'm like, okay, fine, let's throw it in. 100, 101, 102 technically as well, 103 is a trunk. 104 is too long to be considered this. I know why is it that I'm putting here, and well, it's because like when I look at the route itself, this thing feels like a trunk. This thing feels like a fake feeder, like a glorified one. Trunk, 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 trunk. These two. I don't even know where to put 114, honestly. Now 114 honestly looks like a trunk. I did say something like this, right? But honestly, 86 is here. I will put 114 here as well, because 86 is here. Okay, 115. 116 technically could be here. 117, 118. 118 is a trunk. There is no way you would call 118 an inner town, okay? I am really torn about 119. Okay, 82 goes to next, right? 119 I would put it here, but it just barely fits into the definition of inner town. 82 is like way too... It links people to like Serangoon, man. It actually takes people quite far, so 99, I guess you could say if you're within Kovan, I would put you as an inner town. If you actually go to Serangoon, you're a trunk. You see the problem with like classifying it as this? It starts to become really not fixed and confusing. Everything here, they pretty much act like feeder services, so I'll throw them in here. 125, 125. There is no way 125 is an inner town, man. Like this 125 literally passes by an industrial estate. But then again, why did I put 41 as an inner town when I didn't put 125 as an inner town? Despite the industrial estate being like sandwiched between St. Mike's, Boon King, and Sims Place. You know what, actually, on second thoughts, okay, since 41 is here, here you go. 124, obviously a trunk. 127 is just a glorified feeder, let's be real. 129 is obviously a trunk. 130, 131, 132, even though 132 sucks. Okay, let's expand the list again. Where am I? 133. Okay, 134 is kind of like residential based. 136, obviously a trunk. There is no way you can justify putting 136. The distance is quite long, actually. I'm sitting on the fence with this one. Because it's way too long to be considered inner town. Even though it does have character of an inner town, it's just... You know what? Because of how residential it is, and then Kaki Bukit as well. Oh my god, I don't even know, because... It's just because of how much this thing whines. Really, like... Okay, you know what? 138, 139... 140 is a fake feeder service, so here you go, trunk. This one will be your trunk. 142 is also another fake feeder service. I mean, it's just because it crosses CTE, that's why. 143, 145, 146 technically could be here. 147, 148, another fake feeder service. I mean, right? Over here. It kind of fits in the different. I was just stupid enough not to think of it. 150, 151, 153. 155 is way too long to be considered this. Like, you compare it distance-wise, this versus this. This thing was designed to whine. This thing, it doesn't whine that much as compared to 137. I'm just comparing like the windy characteristics of like, yeah, 159, sorry, 158, 159. The cross borders, honestly, 161. I'll throw this thing here. 163, 165, 166, 167, 168, 169, 170, 171 technically could be here. Unless you extend it. If 171 is in its current state, then okay, fine, I'll call it this. 172, 173, again, consistency. I'm trying. 174, 175, 176, 177, 178, 179, 180. This thing is straight. There is no way you can call this an inner town. Oh no, 181 should be here. 182, 183. I disagree with 184 being called this. When in reality the route is so straight. I will see, the thing is, like, if 75 is here, 154 sorry, if 75 is here, 184 deserves to be here as well. Oh my god, then there's this thing called 185. Oh my god, it's like... 185, it passes PIE. And pretty much does the same thing as 99. It's just a little faster. But then again, I have to remember that 185 actually goes to Buena Vista and doesn't just terminate at Clementi. So, you know, by a really small margin, let's just say it's a trunk that has a lot of like inner town character. Because it's just not as windy as Service Tree. This thing literally is a feeder integration. I'm not feeling comfortable with this, but you know what? Screw it. The purpose of this video is to show you guys how difficult it is to actually classify them. Okay, fine. This thing 190, 191, I'll put it here. 192, 193, 194 as well. 195, 196, 197. This thing goes to Marina Center, so yeah. 198, 199, I've already put it here. The 200. You see this thing is here, right? Technically 200 serves housing estate, so alright, let's just put them in. Okay, then I have to skip all the way. Okay, if Marina Bay actually has residential, again, it's probably residential for rich people, so I'm just gonna put it under trunk. Then again, it's still residential, so if it develops in future, I might consider shifting it here, but in the meantime, yeah. Sorry, 403 technically is a fake feeder bus, so actually no, 403 should be a feeder. I don't even know why. Yeah, I mean historically it was parked, so they didn't want to convert it to a feeder. So, well, yeah. I mean 402 would have been here as well. If you're asking me to classify this, and this belong in the same category, but yeah. 410 is a feeder, so I keep thinking 410 is like intra-town or like town link or what. No, it's actually just a green and white feeder. I keep getting confused. Okay. Trunk. I know these are express bus services, but they have trunk. Don't try to gaslight people that 502 has like a high degree of inner. It's an express service, you donut. Obviously, it's gonna wind in the towns, have a big express sector, and it connects to wherever it needs to connect. Don't ever try to say an express bus service has this kind of character. That doesn't make sense. I'm just gonna erase them in case people get mad at me. Okay, where are we at now? 825. 825 is a feeder, pretty much. I'm not gonna put it. Is 825 even a feeder? It is a feeder. I just want to make sure I didn't miss out anything. A56 serves industrial. There is no way you can consider this inner town. There is just no way. But 859 actually fits this definition. Then you have 860, which is like Upper Thompson Road. Okay, now that it has Upper Thompson Road, I'm putting it here. But then I put 71 here. But 860 isn't really very residential in the first place. It has spring leaf, by the way. Again, this thing is the same case as like 185. It's the same thing. Okay, put this here because it actually fits the definition. What's next? 882, right? Okay. 882 I could put it here. 883 I could put it here because 882 is just a glorified feeder service. 9 92 wait 9 925 926 927 what else is there? 9 no, that those are feeder services. 950 960 961 962 I could put it here. I disagree with 184. 184 it just looks like a trunk. It doesn't even 184 doesn't whine. Like unless you say Bukit Panjang Road, Pending and Cashew are like the whining sectors. I'm like no 184 184 okay. Look at this thing. Like 184 and 860 are pretty much. Did I just say 860? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna pause for the first time. Okay, forget what I said. Let's just carry on with the list. You know that the K-pop group IVE has this song, OTT, I like what I like. And then this thing I could say it's ITT instead. Because I just don't want to write the entire thing out. I'll be like ITT, right? Okay, 963. This one, it acts like a feeder service, so I'll put it here. 965 is obviously a trunk. This one might become an intertown in the future. Right now, it's just a glorified feeder. This, this, this. I would put this here. This thing is a trunk. 975. If Lim Chu Kang, okay, please don't develop Lim Chu Kang into an HDB estate, but in case Lim Chu Kang has some form of HDB, I might consider it to be here, because technically the workers' dormitory at Old Choa Chu Kang Road is also a form of residential as well, so yeah, only if, okay, this thing you know it's a glorified feeder as well. If Choa Chu Kang and Bukit Panjang were actually within the same if they were in the same planning zone, then obviously, I mean this generation of it, yeah. Then at the same time, you could say it because 979 is residential. So yeah, it actually fits into the definition. 90, 91. I did say that like inner towns have to be either a residential or a planning zone, right? I mean, just because a bus service crosses one planning zone, like it serves two planning zones, doesn't automatically mean that like it'll be considered here. I don't judge by distance. I judge by like the nature of the route per se. If you guys get what I mean. Okay. Sorry. Hold on. This thing is here. This thing again, I am really fence sitting. But since service 17 is kind of straight, right? Okay, fine. I'll throw it here. Okay, this thing could be here. 991 actually does have the inner town character. I give it to them. Because this thing whines. This thing. But this thing got rejected, so yeah. I mean, essentially... Oh, crap. I realized I forgot something. Since 66 and 41, I put them under inner town, right? It's only fair that I put this under inner town as well. I keep forgetting that the 87 somethings exist. I also want to bring up one thing. 268, it looks like it exceeds planning zones, but it actually doesn't, you know? And at times sometimes I mistake 268 for being a trunk. And based on that, maybe let's put it here actually, because this thing really deceives all of us, you know? But we'll put it here anyway. Now, I'm going to go a step further. How many bendy buses do you actually need? Obviously, on this one, because like I've told you, this thing literally shouldn't be using double deckers at all. This thing shouldn't be using double deckers at all. So let me just think of which bus services actually need bendy buses. This one, I would say 5 out of 10. I forgot what I rated it, but yeah. Let me see, which one actually needs bendy buses? None of these need. You could consider on this. Hold on. I don't think any of these actually need it. No. But it's not the biggest priority because you technically need to widen the turn at Kim Tien a little bit. And the fact that like Tolo Blanca Crescent and Rise are kind of like, especially Crescent, it's kind of narrow. So yeah. I forgot what I rated this, but this thing is fine with single deckers, honestly. How many of these actually need bendy buses? You could consider, although 181, a lot of people they take it all the way to the end, so it's not the biggest priority, I would say. The rest of them is like, okay. The only reason why this thing cannot have bendy buses is because of the roads, but that's it. I would just say KIV, just like 121. 189, I forgot what I've rated it, but I would say it's not the biggest priority. I think I also rated this one quite high. This one I'm gonna like KIV as well. This one, obviously. This one could just run a full SD fleet. Yes, 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 yes. This one technically doesn't really need it. Can just run SDs. And just run more short working trips, I guess. This thing. Comment down below if you think 861 needs bendy buses, but because this one, I am not that familiar with like the catchment, so yeah. I mean, I know that there's Katit, there's Canberra, like the MRT. I know there's MRT on both sides, but does this one actually need bendies? Like, does the upper deck actually get used up like, do people actually go to the upper deck when they take 861? This is one thing that I would like to know. Like, is there enough people from Eastern East that travel all the way to like Sembawang, which would somehow justify the double deckers, right? I'm quite torn on this one. This one could just run SDs. This one is like, it's not a priority. I forgot what I've rated this, but this thing technically could survive with double deckers. Let me see. This thing can survive with double deckers. I would say bring back the bendies, even though it can survive with DD. I would like to see bendies back on 983. This one should have bendies. But whether Bukit Batok interchange would allow that, it's another thing. But yeah, this one should have bendies. This one I'm also quite torn because there's like two distinct catchments. One is to Bukit Batok West, one is to Tengah. So this one I am not entirely sure. But okay, if you want a spam bus ride, I would rather you use DD on this one. The rest of them, 268. Okay, 268 should have bendies. I feel like the demand isn't like high enough to warrant. In fact, right, I know this is off topic, but this thing, if you can put bendies, you could consider them. But again, it's 353, 52, 54. They are the turns are a little bit sus, right? When I say that, I mean like it depends on how narrow or wide the road is. Bendies are better at doing 90-degree turns than 3-axle DDs. But when the road shape is awkward, curved in like a gentle curve, and it's narrow, then bendies would struggle. So yeah, this thing though, I think spamming SDs is fine, honestly. If I just run through the trunk list, do you really need bendies on any of them? Assuming Changi Airport is restricted, so I will use red. I'll just highlight the ones that could use bendies. Doesn't mean they should, but could. No, 28 should have DDs. Because it is a long distance service. And the only intertown character it ever has is at within Tampines. But people take it long distance into Tampines as well. 58 in the future, 53. Cannot really identify anything else. Okay, 36. No, I think 36 is fine with single deckers in the future. Especially when TL opens, 36 will still be kept, but just SD will do, honestly. Any of these long distance services deserve bendies? Let me see. 82's demand like pretty much cannot grow anymore unless there is something at Coven, like the new developments or something. But 82 is like, yeah, it's like there's not much room for growth anyway, so I wouldn't really. People have been suggesting 104. I'm so regarding it, but it's not a priority or anything. Nope. Any one of them needs bendies. 135 again, Kembangan. 135's demand is quite uneven, so no. It's just the same case as 175. Maybe a little bit more demand than 175, obviously, but yeah. Anyway, okay, this one. This one. 73 doesn't need them. 105 can survive with SDs. You just need to improve the frequencies. This thing can survive with DDs, even though I would love to see bendies on this. 176. During weekdays. 180, it depends. This thing can survive with DDs. It's just that, like, should you. It's not a priority, so I wouldn't underline it. 187 DDs still work better, generally speaking. I forgot what I rated this in terms of like bendy bus suitability. I know they put bendies on 190, but it should honestly be a festive season, the eves of public holiday special. I don't think 190 should actually have bendies frequently. If it's just for the down routes, like the Orchard down routes, I honestly don't mind. No, or they just down route to like no they did hit to Kampong Baru and then they start trip. I'm fine with that as well. I think that's what they do anyway. They did hit down Scott's, Patterson, Irwell, Bank Road, Kim Sing, Outram, and then they go to Kampong Baru and then they start trip towards Choa Chu Kang. I think that's fine. But only during the eves of public holidays. Or even the public holidays themselves. If you get into a shortage of drivers, maybe you could consider bendies on 195. What else should you guys consider? Actually, no. It's not a priority. Nope. This one. Because Woodlands Avenue 7 to MRT. Let me see. Okay, that's pretty much it. How many services did I underline? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. 110 can stick with SDs, by the way. Wait, did I? 110. Go. Okay, I covered them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 for trunks. Inner towns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So, as you can see, even when I try to, I might have miscounted, but most of them are like Changi Airport anyway. So the entire claim that like, oh, inner towns actually give you more opportunities to run bendy buses, that is blatantly false. I know I technically put 184 over here, despite some people's definition that 184 is an inner town bus route, even though it is clearly a trunk. Yeah. As you can see, unless the way you justify 184 as being an inner town is that, oh, besides Clementi Road being full of schools, technically the entire Upper Bukit Timah Road has like the private estate catchment as well, unless you're trying to go along those lines. But 184 is so damn straight to the point whereby I'm like, no, it looks like a trunk. There's no, I just don't see 184 as a inner town bus service or a feeder bus service. I'm sorry, I just don't see 184 as it. But as you can see, it's 15 versus 10. So they are not even proving their point that like, oh, the more inner town services you do, the more bendies you would require. No, depending on the context, okay?